There we go. Can you guys hear me all right? Oh, there we go. That's good right there. All right, see if we can hear me. Having a little bit of computer issues. All right. How's everybody doing? Wait for a few people to come in and we'll get crack-a-lacking. So have you guys seen that ignition video I did? You guys like that? That was a pretty intense Floyd gone through the whole thing. Hi, Andrew. How are you? I'm good. Finally got this computer. I turned it on and started doing an update. I'm like, oh, come on. This computer, every time you turn it on, has an update. Every single time. Doesn't, without fail. I could turn it on in the morning, turn it on in the evening, and it's going to have an update. That's how it is. It's awful. But we got it now. Turn this light. Just trying to get the lighting. All right. There we go. Perfect. 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 So what are you guys doing tonight? You guys working on anything good? I got the engine onto the engine stand. That last one we did, the KE100. Turns out the engine has a bad crank bearings and seals. So we're going to be tearing into that, going through, but we want to hear it first. We want to see how it's, how it sounds, and we're going to go through step-by-step diagnostics on it, which is really cool. And you're going to see the engine stand in my next video, which is super cool because I'm able to start an engine on a stand in basically without the bike. And that makes it super huge because I can listen to bearings. I can see what it's doing before I tear it apart. So there's a little thing, like I say, with the when you're working on a bike, you got what I call hearsay. So what that is a customer will say to me, Kevin, my bike is doing this, this, and this. Okay, perfect. And I take that, that information, and that's what I'm kind of focused on. But he said that the bike had bad crank bearings and seals. Okay, what if there's something else? What if that bearing noise was coming from a transmission and wasn't able to diagnose that? These are the type of things that I'm going to be showing you guys. And the person who owns it knows what's going on with the motor, no doubt. But we're going to pretend like it's a person who doesn't understand what's going on with the bike. That's what I like to do. I like to show you guys because my goal for this is when you buy a bike on, say, Marketplace or Craigslist or any of that type of stuff, what ends up happening is that person's going to tell you almost what's going on with it. Maybe not quite. So, for instance, he could tell you, oh, it's making a little bit of a noise, but I'm not really sure where it's coming from when he very well knows it's coming from, say, the crank bearing. Okay? He probably already had it looked at. So you're buying a bike sight unseen. You're not really sure what you're looking at. That's what I'm going to help you with this engine. I'm going to show you guys the tips and tricks and looking at this thing in and out. And that's what we're going to do through the diagnostic process of this bike motor. Even though he told me what's going on and he's accurate, I'm going to pretend that he didn't, in that video, we're going to pretend he didn't tell us anything about the engine. We're going to pretend I have no idea what's going on. Hi, James. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that we don't know what's going on with the bike. We're going to pretend the motor came from, say, Craigslist or Marketplace, and then we're going to do the diagnostics with that type of stuff in mind. I think that right there would be the better way to explain it. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to do something super, super cool, super special. Since we already have it on the stand, what we're going to do is we're going to take the magneto off my KE102, and we're going to show you guys the, the 12-volt system and how that all works. Hey, Dylan. All right. Been working on my on my 1983 KD 80, no spark. Just replaced the points and condenser. Still next. Love your videos, Van. All right, cool. So you still have, after you replace the points and condenser, and you still have no points, correct? No spark, correct? So what I would do in this case is I would take the black wire coming off the magneto, and I hook it directly up to the black wire going up to your coil. Make sure you gap your points correctly. They should be between 12 and 14 thousandths. So go for 13. Try to gap them right in the middle. Then after they're gapped, like I showed you in that ignition video, gap them. Then after that, what do you call it? You should be all set to, jump that wire and you should have spark. I hope you guys are hearing what I'm saying. I'm looking at my computer. It's kind of giving me some glitchy stuff. So hopefully this is working here. So I'm not really sure what my computer is doing. I see my little wheel spinning. Can you guys hear me all right? Anybody can hear me? This computer is absolutely awful. And it says I'm still live, so that's good. Okay. All right, I'm just going to continue. All right. So, with the engine stand, that's going to allow me, like I said, to start and run the engine, listen to it and tune it and all that type of stuff. And then he's going to send me the carburetor that came off that engine. When I receive that carburetor, we're going to break it open, take a look inside and see what it's got for a main jet. We're going to see what's going on. And say it's like a 77. We're going to go and bump it up to an 80 because that engine can handle an 80 all day long perfectly. And you
Can I say hi?
Yeah, good.
Hi.
Hi to the hand, everybody. Hi to the hand. Hi, buddy.
Funny.
All right.
Funny.
So, that's one of the things we're going to do. So we're going to put the 12-volt system on it, check it so you can see how it works, and then it's going to go back on my KE102. But since that engine's already on the stand, I'm going to demo it for you, and you guys can see that we got 12 volts coming out of that charge system. The other thing we're going to do, while we have that stand out, and when we take that engine off to break it down and rip it apart, we're going to go install. Remember that engine I cut in half? Well, the engine that we cut in half, we're going to bolt that to the stand, and we're going to fire that up too, because that is a pretty cool little engine. I got to finish that off. We're going to do a video, cut the case, and put that on there. What's upcoming? I'll tell you guys what's coming up. We got a few things coming up. We are going to finish off Elvin's bike. Elvin's bike just needs the clutch cover put on, the air filter cover, and a clutch adjustment. I want to take that thing for a spin so he can come and get that out of here. And his bike will be all done. And there'll be one more bike out of here. We have Robert's bike on the cutting block right now. We're working on his bike. He just sent me up a couple more parts today. We got some stuff, guys. We got some stuff. What do you call it there? Man, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to do. It's endless. I wanted to ask you guys a question, and hopefully you guys can help me with this. Do you guys like and this is just a question because I get all different, kind of ways around it. Do you guys like the small engine stuff as well, or do you guys just like the dirt bikes and stuff? Hey, Brian. Because and Brian, after we get done doing the KE100 motor, that was before yours. Yours is right after that. So we're going to be doing that head modification on that one. Man, this computer is just really just. Hold on one second, everybody. I got programs trying to open and not respond. It's just awful. So there we go. Hopefully that works. On a carburetor cover for the KE175, I got off eBay. Cheap. It needs sanding, polishing. Oh, that's not bad. Someone drilled a little hole into it. Okay, with the hole, you want to definitely fill that hole in, and you can use what do you call it there? You can use JB Weld if you want. They do make a liquid steel. It's in a little tube, and it's made by Permatex, and it says liquid steel, and the stuff works really, really well. What I would do is I'd put tape on the bottom and fill it through the top, and then just let it sit. Now, typically, you'd let them sit for 24 hours. On that, I would let sit for 48 hours. Just let it there for 2 days and leave it alone because the core of it has to harden. I was like, I didn't say anything. Oh, yeah, I'm working on the Brian's bike, and we're going to be working on that motor that's on the bench, and we're going to be. Brian's bike is a special bike. It's not a regular bike that we're going to be that we would do. It's a GT80, but we're going to do something different with his GT80. Brian's bike is he wants to make it a sleeper. So what that is going to entail is I'm going to teach you guys about porting and compression and relationship, and we're going to do some modifications to this engine, like a lot. But you're going to need to follow all the steps if you want to get the full end result. There is way more to a bike than just grabbing a Dremel, porting out a few ports, slapping a high compression head on it, and calling it happy. I'm going to teach you guys what you have to do, and if you guys follow it right to the T. See, Brian's bike is a GT80, which is really, it's a 72cc. Okay, so it's not only going to get a little bit of a bore, it's not going to be bored out crazy big because, well, you can't. Unless you cut the whole cylinder, put a big giant sleeve in it, and at that point, you're going to be so much money into it, you're going to be way over budget, and you're not going to like the results. Well, you will at first, but then it'll wear out quick. We're going to make a bike motor, a 72cc. It's going to be bored out, 5 over, and it's going to have some good porting done to it. So it's going to be able to wake it right up. That's what we want to do. We want to wake this thing up. This thing wants the throttle. He wants that thing to come alive. I'm going to make an aluminum plate with a rubber seal. Oh, that's a good idea. That way, that's a beautiful idea, James. That's perfect. That's exactly what. Yeah, if you can do that, absolutely. And do me a favor, when you do that, please email me some pictures of it. I love seeing what you guys create. I've been looking into it pretty much. Exact science. It seems, yeah, it is. It is an exact science, and if you do it incorrectly, you'll have the opposite of what you're looking for. You're looking for more power. There is a relationship. Your engine can only take in so much, and a lot of people have a tendency to overport. But the carburation system, the intake system, and what you can feed into the engine is not enough to fill in all that area. So you lose power. With a little bit of mild porting, and I call it mild porting because your intake is about the diameter of your thumb, maybe a little bigger. At best, a nickel. So we want to make sure that we're keeping in mind what the intake system, because everything it's a marriage. Every part of it has to work together. If your piston is really narrow and has a short stroke, you're not going to be able to pump all that volume up on top of that piston through those transfer ports. So you have to look at all of it. There's the crankcase. How much volume can that hold? How much volume can that crank actually push to the top of that, the top of the cylinder? How do we do this efficiently? Are there any locations or any spots in this vicinity that are going to cause us to hang up? You know what I mean? So there's a lot. There's a lot of science to porting, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's time consuming. It takes a lot. We're going to start off with the head. We're going to remove your old head, mark it all up, cut it, and then what do you call it there? That'll take care of that. We'll clean up the edges so they're not rough and they don't look terrible. And then we'll take the cylinder off, send that out to be bored and ported. Oh, I'm going to port it, but we're going to do that on the channel. I'm going to show you guys what to do and how to do that. I'd like to say to buy a mini bike. Just for the road. Fun. Yeah, the dirt road. Yeah, dirt road. That's a KE 100 all day long, or a KE 125. Great bikes. They offer a They're very versatile bikes. I mean, they're not like the craziest of powerful bikes, but they are gonna work, quite nicely with that. With the roads, with hills, um, with anything. It's about gearing. Right out of the box, the bike's gonna do about 50 miles an hour. You can put a bigger gear on that, drop it down a little bit. Excuse me, right around 47 miles an hour, and have that ability to climb. So whenever you do something, there's always a positive and negative. You want your bike to climb a hill way better than it does now. Okay, you put a bigger sprocket in the rear. Okay, so you put a bigger sprocket in the rear, now you can climb a hill. Well, what do you lose? Well, you lose speed. So your top end down here. Um, it's a give and take. Okay, so what if I took, like, I have a 50 tooth on my bike. My bike will climb a hill like you read about, but I lose it on the speed. Like the top speed wound out is about 45 to 47 miles an hour. So now I got to do something to get some of that speed back. What do I do? Well, I can put a bigger sprocket in the front. I can go from a 14 tooth to a 16 tooth, and it makes that diameter a little bit bigger and changes the ratio. But I still have that big gear in the back. So that's going to help me get my speed up a little bit. So I probably won't hit 50 with it, but I'll be close. I'll be in the 47 to 48 range. So any of those type of modifications, remember, whenever you do a modification, there's most of the time, 99.9% of the time, there's a pro and a con. And you really you're not going to get a gear that, like I had a couple of people say to me, Kevin, I'm looking for a gear that's going to allow me to climb a hill and have great top speed. I want to go faster than I'm going now, but I want to be able to climb a hill. Well, you're not going to find that. You don't make it unless you put a derailleur on the back of it and switch gears like a pedal bike, which ain't going to happen on a bike like these. So you have to keep those things in mind. Whatever you do, you're going to add and you're going to subtract. And when you do that, mentally, you have to make sure that those pros and cons are going to equal out. Awesome, thanks, buddy. I winged time and did a great, but fell on my face. Yep, exactly. Yeah, you can. It's there's a lot. There is a lot. Winging things without knowing what's going on, or not what's going on, but what you think because of what people tell you. See, in this industry, one of the biggest problems we have is people who think they know when they don't know. For instance, eBay, a perfect example of people who think they know, but they don't. They'll sell you a coil for a bike, and they'll say CDI coil, and people who bought this coil for their bike can't get spark. Why can't I get spark? Well, because your bike has CDI. Well, it says right on the box, compatible with CDI. Well, they don't know our electrical systems. Our CDI is built into the coil. Theirs isn't. Theirs works with a CDI module. So technically, they're right. But technically, they're wrong because they don't know our bikes. So, and when you're trying to build a bike and you're trying to get the most out of your build, so you see people porting, and I see people porting the crap out of things, and they automatically think, okay, I'm going to port this to the biggest possible port I can possibly put into this thing, and then they throttle it up, and this thing is like a dog. How come? Well, your induction system has to feed all that. If your induction system is not up to the chart, and that means carburetor and intake, it's not up to the challenge, it's going to fall on its face. I need more speed, so I'm thinking about going front 14, rear 48 to a 1647. Yep, that would definitely give you more speed. In fact, I wouldn't do the 47. I would keep the 48 because you want the bigger gear in the back. I wouldn't go that. Going down will give you more speed, but you also want to be able to pull a little bit of a hill. If you go 16 in the front, you're going to feel that. The bike is going to definitely go faster. I would change to 47, but that is a good. I mean, you can, but yeah, if you want speed, if you're going to go down a tooth, I would go down a couple of teeth, and that's going to give you fat. Like over in Pakistan, their bikes are running like 37s, 38 teeth gears, rear sprockets. And I mean, you see those guys on videos, and they are just gone. And you're like, wow, that thing's 100, a 100, and it's going that fast. Huh. How are they doing that? Because they got a big sprocket in the front and a small one in the back. But it's all flat there, I always saw the roads we see them riding on. Your videos on the KE 100s have helped me a bunch with my 1975 Kawasaki G5, which came before the KE. Yep, I believe. Yes, it did. Yep. Is there any difference between the bike besides the shifting pattern? Yeah, there is. There is a couple of differences. One of those would be the rotary valve and the housing. Yours would have the thicker of the two valves, which that's a good thing you brought that up, because you look in the book and you're looking for specifications for how thick that disc should be, the rotary disc. Well, make sure you look at the one for the 75 and not the one for after that, because after that they were thin. So you could be thinking, this ain't measuring out, because they came up with two different rotary valves. It's a big difference. I mean, really thick. Cool. Yeah, try that out, James. What do you call it there? When you're dealing with the rotary valves, the crank is different too. Even though it's a G5, if you take your flywheel off and it's the aluminum one with the 6 magnets, that one right there is a different crank. If it's got the 3 magnets, then it's the regular G5. But I believe yours is at the cusp of the G4, G5 era. Kind of worried about that. The cylinder looks like, after seeing the old piston and crank missing. Yeah. So you want to, like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to clean up. We're going to address the point. We're going to address the ports. So what we're trying to do is, here's the port right here, okay, and the air flows through. We want to make sure that it has a smooth transition to go out through the port. A lot of times it's just a flat wall and it hits and then it goes through. We want that to go through those ports nice and smoothly. We want to have a little bit more room, just a little, so it can handle a little bit more volume. But we don't want to go to the point where we can't fill the ports up with enough volume to travel through them. And you want to make sure you don't ruin the flow by adding too much flow. What I mean by that is, if the carburetor and the engines, when the piston moves up, creates that vacuum and sucks the fuel and air mixture in, you want to make sure that it's going to be able to do that. Because remember, if you have really big transfer ports, when that piston comes up, it's going to use all that space, so it's not going to be able to suck in as much fuel and air. So you want to make sure you don't go too big. You want to be just right, a little bit more. Never hurt anybody. Too much more, well then you made a moped out of a bike, and it's just not going to have any power. You know if the 4-magnet flywheel. No, I don't. I haven't seen it. What you would have to do is you would have to compare. So if you have an F7 4-magnet flywheel, you're going to be looking at the diameter of it. What I always check is the timing mark. Excuse me. What I would do is check the timing mark, see if the timing mark is in the same place, and see where the placement is in relation to where the flywheel key is. If the flywheel key and the timing mark are in the same spot, you should be okay. If they are not, then you're going to have to dial it in. It can be done. I've done it. And if you look on my my KDE 90 video, that's a bike that I built. It's a bike built out of junk parts, and I took a KE100 bottom end. I mated it with a G3SS 90cc top end. It's got a KD80 piston in it. I put CDI ignition in it, and I am actually, instead of using a KE100 flywheel, I'm using a flywheel from a KH100, a GTO, and it's a 4 magnet. But the timing was off. So I had to identify where the marks are and make it all work. How you doing, Frank? Hope everything's nice over there, Las Vegas. Wow. Make sure you gamble for me a little bit. That'd be fun, huh? So yeah, we got that's you want to make sure your timing is 100%. No, I didn't cut the new keyway. What I did was I drilled the backing plate. So what I did was I clocked it to where it needed to go. I marked it and drilled out the 2 holes and then rebolted it down. And I chamfered the holes so I can use the tapered screws that come with it, and then it fit in there perfectly. And then so instead of accommodating the flywheel to the engine, I accommodated the backing plate to where the timing mark is in relationship on the flywheel. So just basically I had to turn it back a little bit. It's really not that bad. You just gotta make sure you get the same one, and you gotta make sure it's balanced. Always want to make sure the stuff is balanced, because if it's not balanced, you can get vibration. Vibration will result in crankshaft bearing failure, seals, going bad, crank seals going bad, because what happens is the harmonics of it are shaken, and then the crankshaft starts to orbit, as I call it, and especially at high RPM. And when that happens, it takes out bearings and seals, and then you end up with a bunch of white smoke, and the thing starts to throttle up on its own. And we're like, oh, yeah, I should have got a balanced flywheel. So that's one of the cool things about those. I believe they are. Some KE ones are balanced, some aren't. So how can you tell if you have a balanced one or not? Well, that's real simple. If you look at the face of it, you'll see little drill holes where they drilled into it, and that's how you can tell if it's been balanced. I noticed that some F7s had CDI ignition, but I'm not sure it's the same as the KE. I don't believe it is. I think those use a module. They are held on with 2 bolts. But if you want to send me some pictures of it, I could take a look at it for you. Excuse me. Looking for a back rim for a KE100 92. Yeah, those are very hard to find. I actually sold a couple that I had. I had some extra ones. I sold them, and now I just got my spare ones. But you can check on eBay. Just remember, whenever you buy a rim, you're gonna end up getting a lot of shipping. I have to ask, what is wrong with your rim? If it's broken spokes, it's cheaper to buy a spoke kit. If it's warped, like taco, they call it, so it's like that, well, then it has to be replaced. But if it's only slight warped, I apologize, guys. I'm tired. I would put new spokes in it and then have it trued up. And when you tell the guy to place, I need to have the rim laced, as they call it, laced, and then I need to have it laced and trued, and then they will put it on a stand, put all new their spokes in it, get them all adjusted. It'll be centered. They check it for make sure it's level, and they make sure it's true on the sides. I don't have the photo chat accounting. No, you can just take a picture with your phone and email it to me. I'll give you that. Or you can text it to me. Yeah, you can just text it to me with your phone. Yeah, that's probably the best way. Just text me a couple pictures of it, so I can see what's going on. Spokes. Nope. They make what do you call it? You probably won't get the factory KE 100 spokes, but what you'll have to do is you'll have to measure yours. And the best thing to do is play stupid and bring it to a motorcycle rim dealer and say, I need to have this all done. Just don't even tell them what's wrong with it. Just be like, I have no idea. This thing is all over the place. I hit a rock, and now my rim is all catawampus. And they'll be like, oh, okay, all right. Well, let me see what I can do for you. And then you give them the year, make, and model. And if they don't have spokes, they'll know of a place that can make them for you. And so whenever it comes to stuff like that, just play down like you don't even know. I don't know. This thing, I rode the bike. It's just not right, and it's the wheel. How do you know it's the wheel? Because I hit a rock, and then this happened. Everything happened after I hit the rock. That's your story. Stick with it. Or you could say I drove off a curb, and I came down hard. It was a big curb, like one of those 1 foot ones. I didn't realize, and then that was it. Like, oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. So that's what I would do, Alan. I would try to get some spokes that way. That would be your best bet. And there's also other bikes too, like you get your KE 100, and I know I don't remember off the top of my head the Suzuki, but there's a couple Suzuki rims that are just like that, and there's also Yamaha too that use those same length spokes. So you could use something like that, and that right there would help you out. Back on my flat track days. Okay, I got 4mm off the intake. Hold on 1 second. Back in my flat track days, my motorcycle cut 4mm off the intake side of the piston. It's good. It seemed to help the performance. Do you do performance work on some? Yes, I do, but one of the things. First, let's talk about the reason why they did that. When you cut the bottom off the piston, and the piston comes up past the port, it gives it a little bit more time to suck in more fuel. So that is a pretty cool trick that you can do on that type of bike. On a KE 100, it doesn't use that type of port, so that wouldn't help you. But if you have the type of bike where the carburetor is mounted right to the back of the cylinder and the piston has to travel up past it, that is a great tip to give you. And you can also put a little bit bigger of a jet. And like Frank was just saying, that right there would really open it up. I mean, crazy. Tried, and they said they can't. Yeah, you know what, Alan? Let me take a look at that for you. I'm gonna see if what I can come up with. I know that you can get the part numbers right off of Partzilla for the spokes. So if you go on to partzilla.com, you can get the spokes, and you can take that part number and have those spokes made. I know that can be done. I've done that before in the past. But yeah, Suzuki TS 250. Yeah, there you go. Yep, that's what he did. Yeah. Oh, Frank, man, that's a great bike. And that's how. Yeah, you're welcome, Alan. No problem. No problem. Just I'm busy this week. Just kind of send me a message at the beginning of the week, and I'll take a look and see what I can come up with, because I know Partzilla can get the part number, and oftentimes you can take that part number and they can convert it over to maybe either a newer part number that maybe it just didn't jump, or get the specifications from that part number and build that type of spoke. But they are available. It's just you just got to do some detective work. Yeah, so that's cool. You send me I don't have a link. You mean to Partzilla? Just I think I forgot the S. Oh, Partzilla. It's just partzilla.com. Once you start typing in the Google search, because I can't spell to save my life, just start typing Partzilla in, and that'll come up. And then you can actually, that is a great tool I use a lot. Partzilla, basically, you can blow up any bike, see what the parts are, part numbers, and some of the parts they even have in stock, which is kind of crazy. If you're looking for a specific part and you can't figure out the part number, that's where you get the part number. So, and as respect, I always try to, if I'm going to use them to look up the part, I try to buy it from them because I feel like, I did use your website to find the part. You know what I mean? So this is kind of one of those courtesy things. They're helping me. So yeah, that's huge. That's huge stuff. Yeah, man, a TS 250. That is a fast bike, and that's why they, like I said, that's why they cut that little bit off the back there. The four, some do 2 millimeters, some do 4 millimeters, but yeah, and it's enough where it can give you performance, but won't make the piston do this in the cylinder. So that's pretty cool. Man, what a beautiful, beautiful night. Researching. Oh, cool. Oh, I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. This channel right here is one of those channels, Alan, where we're a bunch of biker guys, and we love to fix these old bikes up. We love to build them, we love to ride them, and we love to maintain them. And this channel right here will teach you how to properly maintain them. And I put over 30 years of experience into this channel. So everything I tell you, I personally use and do on my own here at the house. 74 G5E. Seems like gas doesn't flow into the engine fast enough. And okay, so what you're going to want to do, if that's the case, you're going to want to pull the petcock, the line off the petcock, put it in a glass jar, and see how fast it fills up, how the flow is. If it's trickling down, then your petcock is clogged. And there are a couple of things that happen with those petcocks on that bike. Inside the fuel tank where the petcock mounts on, there's two tubes. One's a hollow tube and one is filtered. The filtered one right here is your on, and the one that has the tube is off. So one has a filter, one doesn't, but that filter for both of these is actually at the bottom in the bowl. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take out the petcock and make sure that they're not clogging up. Okay. Typically, you'll find a lot of sediment in the bowl, and that'll start to clog up the screen, and then you won't have any flow. A very common problem. The other thing you can do is if you take the line off and you notice the flow is not bad, reach up, take the gas cap off, just crack it loose, and what will happen is air will suck in, and then it will start to fill it up and then flow. If not, you could have a bad petcock. If you do have good flow, then you could have a float out of adjustment. You could have a needle and seat that is clogged. So you get here's your pin that goes up and down. Here's your floats, and when the floats fill up, it pushes the needle up. Well, on the back side of the seat, there's a little tiny hole. That little hole right there could start to be clogged up with maybe some rust that came through the fuel system, some varnish, gum, any of those type of things will clog that up. So those are going to be your first things you're going to want to check on that fuel system. Some dealers have private parts, locating service, hard to find parts. Yeah, exactly. If you have the number, that helps. If you give anybody the part number, they might be able to help you. It matters of determining if they can locate it. Like Frank was just saying, a parts locator person. Do you have the ability to communicate with other dealerships? That's huge. Research second. How do I chat with you personally? If you don't, yeah, I put my number right on my phone number. Actually, just put it in the chat. right up there. You could text me. You can email me at handymotorman76 at Gmail. Um, those are the ways that people get in touch with you. Some people request me on Facebook or on what do you call it there, Instagram. I'm on Instagram. I got a bunch of pictures of my bikes up there. Just Kevin Bergeron on both of them. And on my Facebook, I'm a little bit more political. I do not do any politics on what do you call it there, on my Instagram. So, and regardless of whose side, I'm cool with you. Okay, let's see here. I wish I could get a line on. A wrist pin for a 76, 78. Trying to think of which one that is. That should be the fat one. That should be the big one. A wrist pin. Send me a message after the chat, and I'll take a look for you. You should have some wrist pins. I got a whole bunch of. You talk about for the piston or the crank? Because if you're talking for the piston, I should have those. They're used, but they're good. Some old motorcycles. Yeah, that is true. Some do. Some don't have the flow anymore. They just have to stand there. But that's okay. We can handle those type of issues fine. Oh, you're very welcome, James. Thank you. I appreciate that. All the feedback really does come and helpful to making this type of content. That last ignition video I was getting bombarded with ignition questions, and I wanted to make sure that when I was doing that video that I answered all the questions. I try to get that done early in the video, and then the rest of the video is basically just pumping your head full of knowledge of what to look for. There is more to that, a little bit more to all that, but I gave you guys the real nuts and bolts of what needs to be looked at in that ignition video. One-eighth. Wish I could get a line on wrist pin. Oh, wrist. I don't understand that. Nobody ever has a 1/8 wrist pin. I don't understand. You're talking about you have to measure the diameter of it, not the thickness of it. Oh, you're welcome, Alan. Oh, 14 millimeter wrist pin. There you go. Okay, that makes sense. That helped me out a lot. Oh my god, an eighth. What is that? I've never seen an eighth wrist pin. Not even on a chainsaw. That must be the wall. Okay, so it's a 14 millimeter wrist pin for the piston for a 78. I might have something like that. Let me take a look. By coincidentally, what happened with yours? The wrist pins typically don't go. The bearing fails, and it's there's a little bit of slap, but those wrist pins are like hardened. How you doing, Alexander? Yeah, there's the wrist pins are pretty strong, and they take a lot. I mean, you're gonna see lines in them, but as long as you can't feel them with your fingers, and they're not all torn up, they're good. You can reuse those. Those last an extremely long time. The bearings, on the other hand, I would always replace the bearing. You can also clean them up too with some like a scouring pad, like a Scotch Brite. We'll clean them up too. You don't want to take the finish off, but you want to clean them up so that they're nice and clean. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I enjoy making them. I really do. It's one of my fun things I like to do, and what do you call it? Yeah, it's just one of those, channels that it started off just showing things and repairs to teaching, and when I realized I was teaching, that right there, that gave me a more passion to go forward and do more of the videos. Okay, so you're just looking for a new one. I don't have new ones. I have used ones that are in good shape. The wrist pin bearing, I throw those away. I always buy new. But the shaft itself, the pin, you can use those again on these bikes. They last an extremely long period of time, and they clean up really, really nice with WD-40 and a Scotch-Brite. Um, if you do need to replace them, you can then go ahead and order them. Typically get them from eBay, but it'd be NOS parts, new old stock, and a little harder to find. Trying to see. Oh, I'm not sure. I started watching your videos when I saw you exchanging bikes. Oh yep. Harvey Spoon, he's a good mentor. We bounce things back off each other, back and forth, and he gets so we're both hoarders. We both hoard bikes. We don't sell bikes. We don't get rid of bikes. If I get rid of a bike, I really don't have any love for that bike. Okay, if that makes any sense to you. And Harvey has some bikes in his hoard that he gets so many bikes on trade, he doesn't have a chance to fall in love with a lot of them. So we sometimes swap some of those around. And I got a 4-wheeler one time, and I put a different motor on. I'm like, you know what? This is a Harvey Spooner thing. I mean, I do the KE 100s, the dirt bikes. He does the 4-wheelers. Let's keep it that way, So it works out pretty good. Yep, we both are. Yep, Musty One is a good friend of mine. In fact, I got to bring him over his ladders for that fire truck he picked up. So I got to do that, and I got some cool stuff to bring him. Yep, Musty One is another good mentor, another good friend. Yeah. Yep. I was just watching a video of a modified snowblower made through. Yeah. That right there was my snowblower that I traded him for the whatchamacallit there. The DR trimmer. It's a DR field and brush mower there. I put a 20 horsepower motor on that thing. If that's the one you talk about, Brian. Yeah, that was here. It was just way overkill for what I needed, and I've been trying to get my hands on a CT, 70. So he ended up giving me a CT 70. Turns out it was a silver tag. So, well, I can't just get the bike up and run and put it in like I do all the rest of them. That bike needs to be restored because it's a silver tag. It makes it a lot more. Oh yeah, snowblower. I had snowblowers. I do snowblowers, generators, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's endless what we do. But we swap back and forth different things. Like, you guys saw some of the trades that we've done. I sent them up like 3 or 4 generators, and that he can put to charge all those little houses there. And so yeah, Harvey Spoon is a real good friend, real great guy, awesome to talk to, and his place is unbelievable. Sorry. When I say unbelievable in a totally good way, there are so many Hondas everywhere. Like it's just a plethora of Honda 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers, and you're like, wow, you would have a field day. Not to mention, he's got a good sized property. So what happens is, you see in his videos how he's riding them around. I mean, he has a blast out there. There's a lot. So yeah, he's been a great friend of the channel, a great mentor. And when I had questions on YouTube, he was always there to answer them. And we don't make I don't really make any money on YouTube. My channel is small. It's growing, but it's small. And so everything I do is out of pocket. And I was talking to him about different things. And there's, what do you call it there? There are Patreon things where if you're going to do like a special, you have to do special videos for Patreon, and that's for the people who pay to subscribe to you. And I'm not going that route. I said that before. I said that again. I'm not doing a Patreon. I'm not going to have people pay for a subscription. This is a learning channel, and we're in this as a family. We're not doing this as a well. We got all the best people right here on this channel anyway. So let's just grow it with the best people that we have on YouTube right here. So there was no point in doing it, and over time it'll grow. Thank you, Alan. Have a good one. There you go. Yep. So if you're not looking for political, go over to my whatchamacallit there, Instagram. Hey, Meredith. Yes, I did. Check on that KD80 gas tank. Send me a message because I haven't. What do you call it? There. I went to text you and I didn't. I couldn't figure out which one. I've got your number saved, but I got too many people on there. So if you can send me a message tomorrow morning, I will send you pictures of the tank. So help you out there. There is so many things that go on during the day. Sometimes I just lose track. Time goes by like that. It's just gone. You get into a project, you're modifying, you're building, and all my blueprints are right here. So my brain is like microfiche going around and around and around and around. And I'm always trying to be on the next step. And it's like when I'm doing a video, I have to always hit the pause button when I'm doing a video to go get the tool I forgot to bring to the bench. But we got some cool stuff coming up. I'm going to fire up the half motor, the half KE. We're going to fire that up. And not only are we going to fire it up, we're going to tune it up. And then we're going to have to put that on something. So I'm going to be working on doing that. That's going to be a fun build. And I got some pretty cool stuff the way I'm going to do with the way my imagination works. I got some really cool, fun stuff to do with that. I think it's going to be a great build, and I am over the moon about doing it. So it's going to be a fun build. And we're going to put that motor on something. I'm not exactly sure yet. I was thinking about either a snowblower or a pedal bike, but you got to keep in mind, the KE100 is a 10 horsepower motor. It's like 10 or 11 horse. So whatever we put it on, we're going to have to make sure it can handle that type of power. I think a pedal bike, it would probably rip the spokes out of the rim, but we'll see. You know, it all depends on how you take off. You don't have to take off like a baboon. You know, I can take off easy, gentle. And then when it gets up to speed, beat it. But we'll see. You know, I don't want to kill myself on a pedal bike either. That's overpowered. You know, it's been done. McCullough used to make chainsaw engines for pedal bikes, dirt bikes. In fact, if you look at one of my older videos, there's a Harley Davidson mini bike, moped. And that actually had a McCullough chainsaw on it. And it ran with a friction wheel. And then you pull the lever down and it would drop down to the wheel and that would drive the bike. It was a pretty neat idea, very primitive for back in the day, but that's how they did it. McCullough made some, if you look up McCullough powered go-karts, those things were loud and they were fast. They were not playing around with them. I think one of them had like a Mac 1010 on it, something like that, or a 3010. I forgot what it was, but yeah, they go. They hum. And the compression on those motors, those are dome pistons. So the top of the piston doesn't have that like slight dome. No, it's built like a boat two-stroke. I mean, it's got a crown for a what do you call it there? A piston. Hi, Jed. Musty could probably help put the key motor on him. Yeah, oh yeah, he definitely could. He definitely could. In fact, I mean, I'm not going to keep a bike like that, but if I get it, maybe I can do a collaboration video with him. I'll build the engine, send it to him. He can put it on a bike. You know what that would be good for is a fat tire bike. I think if I had a fat tire bike, that would be good for that. Oh, he's Musty One's got all kinds of bikes that he's made. Ones with 2 motors on them. Oh, he's just awesome. Yeah, that would be cool. I should talk to him about that. I'll give him a call tomorrow. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. He's been doing a lot of Volkswagen stuff and car stuff, and he's really good with mixing up his videos. We didn't get anything from the hurricane. We got a little bit of rain, a lot of overcast, and for like 10 minutes, we got a spring breeze, if you will. We really didn't get anything from it. I mean, the tops of the trees just swayed a little bit, but nothing at all. What everybody else got, it was crazy. Just got a Mojave yesterday. Mojaves are great. I'm I'm good. I'm good. Tyler, that's a good bike. I wanted a Mojave. I actually picked up Mojave a while back, and I ended up using it for parts. Turns out the Mojave 250 and the KLR 250 share a lot of the same stuff. But I forgot which one it is, but I think the bike has a bigger intake and carburetor. Look into the KLR 250, okay? Kawasaki KLR 250. Look at the intake and the carburetor. I believe they're bigger than yours, and they will definitely bolt right to it. And you will have, well, let's just put it this way. You better hold on because you're going to go for a ride of your life. It's big. It's huge. I mean, and the motor can literally handle it. So it's pretty cool. Saw a go-kart with a 3-cylinder. Oh, yeah. Snowball engine. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, dude. People are unbelievable what they're doing. Unbelievable what they're doing. Oh, be safe, man. Be safe. Yeah, she hit. We're gonna get up to 5 inches of rain. Oh my God, Brian, be careful. Be careful down there. I know we're gonna get some up here too, but we're higher elevation and all the water just goes downhill. But man, oh, you're welcome, Tyler. Yeah, Brian, be careful down there, man. It's just, you got a generator and all that. You all set with a generator? Because you're going to lose power. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have your generator ready and you're all prepared. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than that. I have, what do you call it there? I got 4 generators here. And I only use one, but I got backup. And then I got backup for a backup. And then I got a backup for a backup for the backup. So I'm backed up. But no, but seriously, make sure whenever it is going to be X amount of rain, make sure you block off your entrances and all that type of stuff. So no water can get in. And try to stay above ground. It's awesome. Oh yeah, you're all set. Yeah, 7,500 watt. Yeah, you're good. Just make sure you get gas before everybody else. Get that tonight, or yesterday. If you can get it yesterday, get that gas yesterday because there's going to be craziness at the pumps and all that. You see what's going on. I watched in the Weather Channel the other day, watching Ida when she made landfall in Louisiana, and your heart goes out to these people. These poor people, total devastation. $40 million in damage, or billion, or whatever. I forgot what it was, but it was a lot of money. Okay, it was a metric ton of money, and man, imagine the whole state out of power. At that point, where the hell do you begin? Where do you begin? You know what I mean? You start fixing wires, whatever you see down, you start fixing, and then hope that's going to be it because they can't turn it on to check it. So you're fixing stuff, and you don't even know if it was 100% fixed yet. Because you can't turn it back on. Oh, it's awful. And then if you do lose power, make sure you do not backfeed your wiring because you could kill someone on the power line. So never do that. Oh, this is pretty high up. Oh, okay, so you're good. Perfect. You just got to worry about, it may take 2 weeks to get power back on. James, are you down in, where are you located, James? Yeah, I heard that. Could take up to 2 weeks. I heard that on the weather. I know. So I have a couple people on here that are down from down south, and it's a beating that they took down there. It really is, honestly. It's just an absolute beating. You don't wish that on anybody. A whole state. They hit the state at Cat 5. Oh, okay, yeah, Arkansas. That's what I thought you. Yeah. Wow. My son calls it Arkansas. But yeah, no, it's man. Ooh, that's something. That is something. So yeah, crazy, 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 crazy. 21. Yeah, they are pretty slow. They are pretty slow, especially in Connecticut. Here we have National Grid, and they do a lot of storm preparation prior to that. What they do is they drive up and down the street, they cut back lines, cut back lines, cut back trees so it doesn't interfere with the lines, and what do you call it there? So they're really good with their tree maintenance, and if you have something like you see a tree in your yard that's kind of threatening it, and you ask them if they're already in that area, okay, can you cut that back? Oh yeah, sure. It's a hydraulic chainsaw, and it just and done, drops to the ground, and then you pick it up. Not a big deal, and take the dump, and you good to go. But yeah, that was a great thing that they did coming through, cutting back trees, cutting back branches, any threats to the power lines. And I'll tell you, knock on wood, we haven't lost our power yet. I got my generator set up, but we haven't used it. Hey, Larry. Yeah, yeah. That's what you do. That's part of the key. If you can get at Category 5, it doesn't matter what you cut up. No matter what you cut back, they're going all over the place. And you don't want to have those type of lines underground because everything floods. So the lines are safer up top, just that they fall over a lot. They come down. So it's a little crazy on that. But man, I'll tell you, it's just amazing how they do all that. They come in, they hack it all up, and then basically power stays on. That's one of the main things. I should do a generator maintenance video. I got one. I have a couple of generator videos, how to fix a governor and unseason a free. I was at the Epping dump one time, bringing my trash out, and the guy had a generator on the back of his truck. He was going to throw it in the dumpster. I said, I'll take that. He goes, oh, it's seized up. I'll definitely take it. And it's sad because it sees him sitting. I was able to easily unseize it. Thing runs beautiful, and it made me some good money. Any family members?
I wish you can have your own coins and put them upside downwards.
Oh yeah, I have kids that are starting to show interest in the bikes, and I'll be teaching them and how to do all that type of stuff. It as they get older, I'm going to introduce them more to them, and so they can understand the value of what I have. Because all my bikes are one-off bikes. Everything is modified, and it's modified in a way that I know what's in it, and I'd have to share that. It's a pretty special thing having a collection of bikes like I got, and literally all my bikes except for one, which is that orange MT1. Everything I have is CDI. The KV75, that's CDI. The KD80, CDI. The KM100, CDI. None of these bikes ever came through CDI, so I've converted all of them over. At the bike that I made, the KDE 90, I made that CDI. The what do you call it there? My GT80, that's CDI. All my bikes, my KE 100, all the way to my DS80, DS 100. Those are all CDI bikes. And excuse me. My KE 100 is a little ported. I ported that out. High compression heads. I do a lot of the high compression head stuff on the bikes. My KE, my KM, and my KD are all high compression. Everything's titled. The only one that I didn't register any bikes this year. I literally have not worked on any of my bikes this year. It's been crazy. But my KE, my KM, my Yamaha Virago, and my what do you call it, the Honda 350, those will be all registered. Do they run any different? Let's see. No. Nope. Their points ignition, CDI ignition, those bikes perform exactly the same. One of the things with a CDI ignition, you can run those bikes at a lower RPM than you can with points without stalling. They're more reliable, as in you don't have to every so many miles take the cover off and readjust points. Points are not one of those things you set and forget. They require maintenance, and 500-600 miles down the road, you're going to have to re-oil that little felt. You might want to check your points gap and see if they need to be gapped. With CDI, it's maintenance free. You just ride the bike and have fun, and it basically runs the exact same as it does every time. And if your bike's been sitting throughout, say, the winter, and then you go out there to start your bike, your points may not actually, they could be fouled. They don't work. Exactly. They don't point float. Point float is when you have high RPM and it's kicking the points open as opposed to nicely opening them. So there's a lot of benefits to CDI ignition. But when a CDI ignition goes, you're stuck in the water. With points, you can typically clean your points, dry them off, and ride your bike home again. Even when they're messing up, the bike will run like crap, but it will get you home. The CDI, when it's dead, is dead. That's it. You're pushing it. So that's some of the stuff. So, well, guys, I'm gonna end the video here. It is 9 o'clock, so my little guy's first day of school is tomorrow. So Andrew is going to school for third grade, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to let you guys go. Go say goodnight to him. How many times can you... well, it depends on how you bore it the first time. If you go for full-size bore, then that's it. You're one and done. But if you go in small increments, you have to look at the size pistons that are available for your bike. But if it's like 5, 10, and 15 thousandths, well, then you can bore a bike 3 times. If you have a Nika style bike, so like a KE 100 that has the aluminum cylinder head, aluminum cylinder, not head, cylinder, you can just re-Nika style it. And even if you have scoring, you can send that off. They will clean it up, recoat it in that coating that Nika style will fill in all that scratches like it never even happened. And then you put the standard piston back in it. So there are some options with that. So anyway, guys, once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you to all my new subscribers and all your great comments and all your great questions. I love those. Those are awesome. So, thanks for that. Oh, you're welcome. And once again, guys, I'll see you guys. I'm going to try to do it weekly again. We'll try to do that. We have a puppy coming home, so we got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to get work and getting a chocolate lab. So anyway, guys, thank you and have a good night. I'm out.